I'm Michael Calder. I'm from Phase 2 Planning, planning consultant. I've followed the usual path of starting in local government as a planner fresh out of university, got to see that firsthand, what that's like, get involved in that side of things. Moved from there to private practice. I must say it wasn't an immediate choice of mine. I was just kind of victim to a cut in local government and given two choices: take a pay cut or seek alternative employment, and that was luckily for me to Strutt and Parker, and that's where my life changed really. And I've been in private practice ever since, moved around various sizes of businesses. Last experience was with a corporate giant, Capita Symonds, and that wasn't for me. And I've taken up the position of Associate Director at Phase 2 Planning, and we're a team of seven planners with a couple of support staff, and we're based out in Braintree, Essex, but ultimately cover London, Essex, Cambridgeshire, Kent, Suffolk, all the really the key areas that have a London influence. Yeah, so being a planning consultant, you're a bit of a jack of all trades really. So we do actually cast our net quite wide, but with a residential focus. So the core of our work is undoubtedly with residential property, and that comes from promoting greenfield land for landowners or developers with options on land, all the way through to buildings coming to the end of their use, commercial property, vacant industrial land, and we'll work with, again, either landowners or developers with an interest in the land to see that through the planning process, and ultimately we're there to try and help realise some value out of planning, and that's what we do. But outside of that, we're exposed to commercial property, leisure and education, and so we cast our net quite wide, and that's really helpful when a recession or a Brexit comes along, because we've obviously got quite wide exposure. So as planning consultants, we're actually quite far along the chain, although we're almost the first in terms of getting a planning permission before development takes place. We're often a few people down the chain, so we always experience changing property 2/3 down the process, if I can quantify it that way. But the initial indications are that there has been no immediate impact. I mean, ultimately, one thing we found in my experiences with previous firms was in around about 2007-8, when we had a more severe shock to the system, was that people view property as a long-term investment. It has a long shelf life, and we found that a number of our clients were obviously geared up to look at the long-term picture. So they were so far into the process that ultimately planning was always going to add value to the land from its current position. It was always going to add value to that land, regardless of what the current economy was doing. And we found that we were lucky that our clients back then are taking the same view now. They're looking past any current fluctuations, and they're looking to the point that we need a planning permission, we need to enhance the value of our land. We've invested in this for the last X years, because ask anyone in property, planning takes forever, it takes an age. So anyone at this point would have been probably several years into a project, and they're not just about to walk away from it. And everybody wants to be able to bounce back as soon as the market gets to where they think it should be. So from our experience, we're not noticing any immediate impact. Quite the opposite, we've seen a bit of appetite from investors that actually see this as an opportunity to get out there and perhaps prey on those that do see it slightly differently and make an advantage of it. So no immediate impact, long may that continue, because property is long term. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think the key point there is that property is a long-term investment, and I think everybody recognises that now, and therefore we think we're all better prepared because our clients are better prepared. Since 2007-8, I think developers, landowners have been more choosy about where they would invest and buy property, and I think they've always had in the back of their mind something like this happening again. So that they can weather the storm slightly better, and we've definitely found that. So our clients have always picked core areas, and we're not noticing that they are suffering as a result. So we think they're better prepared. As a result, we're better prepared because we've been aligned with that by chance perhaps, but that we go where the work is, but that's where the work's been. And I think everybody's learned that you need to be ready for when the market returns. So we think we're better prepared as a business. We're a small business. We don't chase turnover. We're lucky that we can be a bit more selective about the work we do. Clients will be more selective about choosing us. So we're lucky we're not chasing turnover and volume, and therefore we're better prepared as a result. Well, planning still adds value to land and property, so we don't see any change in that, because even if those values aren't what they were 6 months, a year ago, a land with planning permission is still worth significantly more than land without planning. So from that respect, we don't see any change, and that's certainly the appetite of our clients at the moment. Full indications are that there's no slowdown in that respect. So we don't see a big change to the property market. Clearly, there's going to be areas and there's going to be price checks, but from a planning point of view, we won't necessarily see that directly.